Hey everyone, Eric St.Pierre here. I'm sitting in my garden trying to find something to do today, and been thinking a lot about what I value. There's no sports on. I don't watch a lot of TV, but if there's championship anything, I'll probably watch it. I keep thinking about the things I'm most thankful for, and even though there's more to life than sport, I grew up in a place, Leominster, Massachusetts, where sport just dominates. And most people, they know me as going to two Olympics. They come see me, they want answers about their body, how to recover from an injury, or guidance on performance, or whatever. Doesn't matter if you're an athlete or not, you can benefit. What I want to do is share my favorite Olympic experiences with you. I do talk about them often. I try not to put it out in front, but they often think my Olympic experience started at the Olympics, and that's not true. It really started when I was little, when I was young. I grew up in the East Coast. They've just won titles in professional sports over and over and over again. Larry Bird, McHale, Parrish, Mo Vaughn, Nomar, Cam Neely, Ray Bork. I mean, these are people that, like, that's all I knew. That's when I dream about sport, which I still do. That's what I think about. I just fly in, moving. No one can touch me, score on you from any position. When in reality, as I grew, I didn't train. Growth spurt hurt me. Wasn't motivated, wasn't committed, and I got hurt and never the same. But that was the moment I realized that maybe I'm not gonna play hockey for the rest of my life. And it was odd. It was probably the best thing for me to grow up. Went into sports medicine, and one day I found myself literally living the dream all over again at the Olympics in a different manner, but it all started at home. So anyone, please tell me if I have this wrong, but Leominster, Massachusetts was just fully sports driven. I know the whole state, the whole region loves sports. We grew up in a place where hockey dominated it. Ever since I was little, you always heard about the Miracle on Ice. It was in Lake Placid, not far in New York from where I grew up. We visited as kids. I had a friend, Craig Frechette. He had flags everywhere. Everything was Olympic and Team USA. I've been to the Olympics twice. Vancouver and Sochi were the two warmest weathered Winter Olympics, but I went as the head trainer for US speed skating, and it was awesome. In Leominster, we have the US National Championship for street hockey. I always thought I was going to play street hockey my whole life. We had pro athletes like Patrick Waugh, Canadians, other pro athletes come and play in men's tournament. You run around with a ball on a deck. It's super fast, it's super skilled. Most people can play it. It's great. For instance, my parents just sent me the pictures from when I was 4 years old when I started. And then you always skate in the winter on ponds, but then you get into organized ice hockey, and that's the culture, whether it's a French, Canadian, Italian, Irish, everyone was into it. I think I grew up like a lot of the kids I played with. Being on the ice was so important to my upbringing that naturally I ended up working with a skating sport. USA Bobsled. The last time USA Bobsled had won a gold medal for men's four-man was in 1948. In 2007, I started traveling with USA Bobsled in Europe. They had done well. They had won the World Cup championship the year before. They had a unique team. Fast forward 3 years later, I traveled with them for a few years, but then I moved out to Colorado from Los Angeles. I ended up supporting USA speed skating, and I would watch bobsled from a distance, but then the next thing I know, I'm with speed skating, part of Team USA medical team in Vancouver, and we go into the Canadians' home. You don't get many practice runs on the track of the host country in bobsled. In USA, on the night train, goes in Steve Holcomb, Justin Olson, Kurt Tomasevich, and Steve Messler go in and take gold in the Canadians' house. It was unbelievable. I was losing my mind speed skating. Didn't really understand why I was so excited, but it meant a lot to me. The next cycle, 4 years later, they go in and win more medals, bronze, that end up getting bumped up to silver because the Russians were cheating against us in the world. So happy. The women's team that I work with, they won a medal in Vancouver. They won 2 medals in Sochi. It's been nothing but success, but unfortunately Steve Holcomb has passed away. It happened a few years ago. He's a legend in Olympic sport at this point. I've sat in Canada talking to him about hockey at a beverage station, and the bartender got mad at me because I kept saying ice hockey versus just hockey, getting in my face that it's just hockey. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. He's like telling me how he's Canadian. I'm telling him I don't care what he thinks. And but Steve Holcomb was there with me, always treated me well. He actually that night talked to my family on the phone. They got a kick out of it. But USA Bobsled taking over the sport. Apolo Ohno, the man, the legend. I don't know if he's a myth because you've all seen him. He's won Dancing with the Stars. He's a New York Times best-selling author. He's been to multiple Olympics, and in Vancouver, I mean, that was the team. Short track speed skating. It's a crazy sport, and this man was always racing against other athletes that had teammates in the races. They would team skate. They would work against him. They would shut him up. The Koreans, the Canadians, the Chinese, whoever. But this dude picked it up. In Vancouver, he won his 8th medal. He becomes the most decorated Winter Olympian, taking over from Bonnie Blair. Goes into legendary status. He won at multiple games or multiple time periods. The sport changed while he was in it, and he found style changes and training. He was so regimented. It didn't matter. All that matters, he was doing the right thing for himself. He was training. He won medals on the relay. He won individual medals. And he actually taught me how to moonwalk. He taught a lot of us how to moonwalk. He was on Dancing with the Stars, so we all had a lot of questions for him. But he's such a nice guy to me. Nothing but love. And people don't stick up enough for him because he was always racing against super talented people with teammates and still pulled medals out. Imagine if he had a stronger environment. Who knows what would have happened. But dude, you're the best. Shani Davis, a long track speed skater. I got to know him really well because in the locker room in Salt Lake City, I had short track, but we also had long track, their sister team within speed skating. Long track's the traditional sport. Short track has a long history of people wanting to race on ice, on a rink, but you're in a little hockey rink with short track. It's like NASCAR. You're just racing people, so you can have the slowest time ever but still win gold. Where long track, it's like your time. You know your time, you gotta go, you're kind of alone. Only last year did I travel with them to Poland and support their national team, which was awesome. Very different sport, even within the same family. But Shani Davis goes into Vancouver, wins back-to-back gold medals in the 1500. Unbelievable watching him kind of close, but also from a distance. So honored, so proud. The head medical physician for USA Speed Skating is Eric Heiden, long track, famous, 1980. We talk about the miracle on ice, but Eric Heiden's there with me. My parents would ask, like, hey, did you ever tell him that you met him when you were like this big in Fitchburg, Massachusetts? I think it's the Longo race. I don't know how to pronounce it. Sorry, love you guys. No, I didn't tell him. You have your head coaches, you have your strength and conditioning coach, you have your trainer. Physician usually travels, but he was there. I mean, this guy's a legend. In 1980, during the Miracle on Ice in Lake Placid, and he happened to be there, he told me, next to Al Michaels, which was really cool. But the guy won 5 gold medals. That's nuts. Unprecedented, legendary, nicest guy, treated me well. More people older than me always ask about Eric Heiden. Younger people ask about Apolo, but they're just like, his thighs are huge. What people don't realize is he was doing great in the Tour de France years later, and I think he crashed and broke his clavicle. He was telling me about this. Awesome. I'll get into the short track team because in 2010, we were riddled with injuries. My first 2 weeks on the job, we went to Olympic trials. A lot of pressure. I don't really know what I'm doing. I took over. I come in. We head up to Marquette, Michigan, and J.R. Celski, one of our most talented skaters ever, crashes and essentially cuts off his leg. And I've ruined my body on the ice, blowing up my leg. The worst pain was not breaking my leg. It was the guy pulling my leg. Essentially torture, but with love. And I watched JR bleeding out on the ice. All the hopes and dreams seemed to evaporate. I mean, this guy was primed for a great games. Fast forward months later, he's rehabbing, he's exhausted. He doesn't get enough credit for what he did. He comes out in my first Olympic meet, competition, whatever I ever witnessed in person. They're in the finals. He's there with Apolo. Apolo has a partner. This is good. They skate, and the South Koreans fight each other, jockeying for position around the last corner, slide. I was loving it. They crash. Apolo goes into silver. JR comes into bronze. The dude's skating on one leg. I can't believe it. Like the best success to just start it out. We walked into 2010 pretty beat up. We had people like Catherine Reuter working through injuries. Jordan Malone skating on a torn ACL. Who the heck does that? The dude's an engineer. I would show him how to tape. He goes to MIT now, where he did, and he would just learn how to tape, and he figured it out himself, and we rehabbed it. It was like nightmare scenarios for everyone across the board. But in the end, the men's team, the women's team, all take home medals. The relays win medals. There are individual medals from Catherine, JR, and Apolo. I couldn't have been more surprised, more proud. All the respect to them, all the credit to them. It was an honor to support them as a team. And, you know, people like Lana Gehring, Allison Dudek, Kimberly Derrick, Simon Cho, Travis Janer. Man, love you guys. So proud of you. It made that games so exciting. The Stanley Cup. Oh my God. We're walking around. I'm with Dr. Noyes. Mike Noyes has been to multiple Olympics. He's the physician for U.S. speed skating. We had some time. We start exploring the bowels of the ice skating rink where they're playing hockey. We go down there and we walk into this area, and there's the International Hockey Federation, the IIHF trophy. Next to it is the Stanley Cup. Unbelievable. I'm just standing there looking at it. There's nothing around. There's no like, it's where the best NHL players and the teams go and have a great dinner. And I'm looking at it. This guy talking to me behind, he's like, pretty cool, huh? And I look, the protector of the cup, the curator of the Hockey Hall of Fame. And he's like, pretty neat, huh? I'm like, dude, I don't know what to do. I like want to hug it. And he's like, do whatever you want. Don't pick it up, but you can touch it. I'm like, oh my God. I got pictures mugging it, kissing it, hugging. It was awesome. While we're there, we're just hanging out, just like looking around. I'm like just staring at this thing and talking to him about his experience protecting the cup. Me and him. Team Canada walks in. We're standing there, me and Dr. Noyes, and they come to meet the guy who always touches the cup. They like won't even look at the cup. It's maybe 20 feet away, but we're standing with him. He's right here, and I'm standing here, and every one of the Canadian team members come to shake his hand because he touches the cup all the time, one by one. And they look at us, and we're wearing full USA stuff, and I'm within like 3 inches, you know? And I have strong opinions about other teams, and they all walk through. It was one of the weirdest moments. 2014, I had a little bit more confidence saying hi to all the NHL players. Chara, Bergeron, Coach Julian. I went up and talked to them. Bergeron was sitting there with Crosby and I kind of like butt in, they're eating. And I'm like, hey, Bergeron, I like thank him. I thank Chara. I thank everyone. Like, thanks for bringing Boston hockey back. They were so much more interested in me than I couldn't get questions. Jonathan Toews was probably the nicest person. He plays for the Chicago Blackhawks. I believe they won 3 Stanley Cups. I saw him just riding around in Sochi. It was so warm. We had like bikes. I had t-shirts. I'm just riding around. I see him, I'm like, hey, how are you? He had just won. I think every other year they won a Stanley Cup. And I talked to him, and he had so many questions about my experience at the games, and if I knew this person and this coaches that could work on speed and stuff. And I was like, no, my circle was different than his. But it was so cool because he was so nice to me. On the U.S. side, you know, I got to spend time with Dustin Brown, Oshie, Kane, Quick, Miller, Paul Stastny, Zach Parise, Shattenkirk, Backus. Everyone was there. Team USA, you're in the small room treating your athlete like this big, and you have tables. So athletes come in and watch TV, watch the events. We're in this apartment building. It's nice, but they have nowhere to go. But the nicest person was Ryan Kessler, because I got talked in by men's hockey to go buy a jersey, a USA jersey, and we'll sign it. And I'm like, we're not really allowed to do that. I would never volunteer. Anything I have signed was pretty much given to me. I have a jersey hanging up in the office that has the whole 2010 speed skating team. Behind it is the flag that was hanging off the banner in our building at the end. When you're on the Team USA, our building doesn't have our flags up. Unlike all the other countries you walk around, they have flags up because they're not a target. We're a target. So I took that flag. It's probably one of the most valuable things I have. And it's interesting, you know, in 2014, the men's hockey lost early, and we thought they were going to go deep, because in 2010, they make it to the gold medal game against Canada and end up losing. And that was the closest thing I could have experienced to the miracle on ice. That whole lead up to the gold medal game, we had beaten Canada. We were yelling out of our housing at Team Canada, like walking to practice, booing them. It was crazy. And Team USA ends up taking silver, and I was so proud. 2014, they lose early, and Kessler actually finds me because I had given him the jersey, and he signed it for me. Hardworking, blue collar. I loved watching him play, and big fan of his. What people don't realize is that when we were in Canada, Vancouver Olympics 2010, we couldn't wear our USA stuff out in public because the Canadians were looking to kick our butts. USA Hockey, the men's team, had beaten Canada. There was a threat that they wouldn't win the gold medal. They ultimately did, but it was so exciting. It added so much intensity to the rivalry, but we actually couldn't wear our USA garb. So I'm like, I brought just a little bit of clothes extra, and that's what I wore. Where in Russia, it's like late at night. That's really when we had time to actually go to try to get something to eat late. We're in the middle of nowhere, walking back in full USA costume, back alley, and these Russians with black coats come down. I'm with someone else, and we're like, oh my God. In the background is like the light dome of the Olympic Village, and we're trying to get there. We're like a half mile away. We're in trouble. And USA had beaten the Russians that week in Sochi. And we're walking, and it was almost the opposite of Canada, where they approach us and they're like, Team USA? And we're like, yeah. They're like, good luck. Oh my God, I thought like the worst thing would happen. Where, you know, a week after we left the Sochi Olympics is when Russia invaded Crimea. And that was a crazy time, because I was there when it was probably the safest time to go as an American. Nothing was going to happen to us. Nothing did happen to us. It was really warm. Unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of snow. And I had a good time with it, even though we didn't really win the medals we had hoped. We ended the Sochi Olympics, as far as short track speed skating, with a silver medal in men's relay. The athletes deserve more. I was still proud of everyone, but that silver medal definitely made it feel a lot better. Team USA is more than the athletes, and it's not about just like a trainer. We all get credit for what we do, but you have the medical team, you have the administrative staff of the USA delegation. Only so many people can go. I think it's 50-something medical personnel go, where normally it would probably be in the hundreds. So it's all hands on deck. I got to work with all the skating sports and really had a blast. You all know who you are. That was awesome being around you. You guys are all family. I thank you so much for allowing me to go. And for someone who grew up with Olympic dreams, it really played out in a really personal way by going to the 2 games I did. Look into short track speed skating. You'd be really surprised how exciting it is. And I have no idea why that wasn't available where I grew up. There's so many fast kids that could have gotten into it. I mean, go race. It's crazy. It's fast. It's amazing. Makes me hold my breath every time I watch it live, especially at the Olympics. And again, the medals, they matter, but not to me. The athletes matter, and I wouldn't be there without them. But my Olympic experience started long before I actually went to it. And all the kids I grew up playing with and playing against, you know, all the bums in the other towns, I'm kidding, you know, we kind of all lived it together. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any requests, I have a lot more stories I'll think of.